Tyler Hero, let me start off with that, man. Where are you at, bro? Where's this at? I called him out, man. I call that sorry excuse of a player, man.
Hello and welcome to the Friday, June 11th edition of the TV on Basketball Podcast with your host, TV. Hope you're having a fantastic day and thank you for clicking on to watch or listen to today's episode. Before we start, I have to plug my other platforms. Remember to follow at TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for updates on the podcast and for other great content. If you're on YouTube, remember to like, share, and subscribe and hit the notification bell. That would be highly appreciated. And for my podcast listeners, leave a review if you're on Apple, subscribe. And for all the other podcast listeners on the other platforms, just show your support in any way possible. I really do appreciate all of you. I have a great show lineup for you today. And as you could see on my left, we have a familiar guest, someone who has been on the show a couple of times. This is the 201st episode, so we got to get one of the regulars on. I'd like to welcome Joe from the Critical Condition Sports Podcast. How's it going, my guy?
Woo! It's going good, man. It's going good, man. Like I told you before, man, fresh off the plane, full of energy still. Got my energy drink here going, man. No better way to start off the morning than with you, brother.
Thank you for coming on. My guy was just in Tennessee last night, flew in 2 a.m. in the morning. This guy's dedicated, man. Definitely go check him out. I'm gonna have all of his links in my link tree in my description of this video. You know about him already. He's always a great guest, and we're gonna talk a lot of NBA playoff basketball today. We're gonna be talking about the series. We're gonna be talking about some of the awards that we're giving out this week. It's gonna be a really, really good episode. But before we get to it, I mean, it's been a while since Joe has been on. I believe the last time was during the NBA trade deadline. How's it going, man? What's going on your end? How are things there?
It's been a while, definitely, man. Everything's been going great with me, man. I've transitioned more into the sports world field, especially like with MMA. The show's doing great right now. I've had some awesome guests. Today, I mean, you always air this episodes on Fridays, so today I'll be having my latest episode's coming out with Corey Hendricks, who's a fighter for the Professional Fighters League (PFL). He's gonna fight next week on ESPN Plus and ESPN2, so check that out. That'll be dropping today around 1 p.m. Central Time. And, lots of great things, man. I have Connor Rogers. I mean, I'll throw it out here right now. I have Connor Rogers, who's an NFL scout, and he works for Bleacher Report. He handles all the draft stuff. So we're going to be talking today. So that episode should be coming out in the next week or two. And just a lot of fun stuff, man. And got a lot of fighters coming on. So if you like that MMA content, you like some football content, head over to my podcast. It's Critical Condition Sports on Instagram at Critical Condition Sports. Get all that information there. I do Instagram lives with fighters. I'm going to do 3 of them tomorrow on Saturday. So if you're listening this in time, I'm going to have somebody from the Ultimate Fighter doing an Instagram live with me. It's going to be a little surprise for all the guests and the fans following there, man. So lots of big things coming in over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, my man is dedicated right now, man. Like this guy has been doing so much things with when in terms of like with UFC fighters, MMA fighters, boxers. You see all his interviews over there. He's still got the NFL content like he always has been. Like there's so much stuff you could go check out on his channel. This guy is putting in mad work. I mean, before this podcast started, you said you have 7 things to record this weekend.
Yeah, man. I have about 7 things to record this weekend. UFC 263 is coming down tomorrow, man. Marvin Vettori, Israel Adesanya. It's gonna be a great fight. Check it out. I definitely recommend that. If you're not a UFC fan, this is the card to watch tomorrow, man. I'm not getting paid by the UFC to say this.
I know. I've been watching a lot of the UFC pay-per-views as of late, and they have been absolutely amazing. Before we move on to the NBA thing, who you got? Adesanya or Vettori?
Definitely, I was gonna tell you, man. You definitely have to watch that fight, man. I think Izzy wins. I think Izzy just has a more experience factor and he has a lot more crisp punches. I think Vittori having to go in there and try to go for the takedown, it's gonna matter to how safe he is, man. How he's able to protect himself as he's trying to dig in for the takedown. Izzy's really good though, man. I'm gonna take Izzy in that, man. Experience factor. Experience means a lot, especially as we're gonna be talking about in the playoffs.
Yes, for sure. And man, I've been loving Izzy these last few fights. This guy has been an absolute monster. I have him winning as well in this fight. I think it's going to be a really, really good one. I'm definitely going to be checking it out tomorrow. And also that Nate Diaz fight, seeing him back in the ring. Man. Yeah, it's good. It's good to see him back in the ring. Tomorrow's fights are going to be absolutely fantastic.
Did you definitely see the stare down?
Pardon?
Did you see the stare down yesterday between
Oh
Marvin and Israel?
no, no, I did not.
Yo,
Why?
you
What?
gotta watch it, brother. Like they literally had to pull them apart, man. Like it was
Oh,
a full fight was gonna break out.
oh man, this is gonna be intense tomorrow. I think I'm seeing it with one of my boys tomorrow, so it should be a good fight.
Fun.
But this is a basketball podcast. I know UFC is fun and all. I've been watching quite a bit of the pay per view fights as of late, but I'm definitely gonna check it out. Let's get into some basketball, man. We're in the second round, the semifinals. Four series going on. We're gonna go through each of them um, in depth. We can't be too long because my guy is a busy man, but he has time to get on the show. Let's start with the Clippers Jazz, which game two happened last night. The Jazz winning 117, 111. But they also won game one too, 112, 109. They take the 2-0 series lead going into LA. The story of both these matches is that Donovan Mitchell has been on absolute fire, 45 in game one, 37 in game two. He has been absolutely fantastic. And on the Clippers side of things, their stars have been good, but they haven't been great. It's definitely a big transition from playing the Dallas Mavericks to the Utah Jazz. It's been a really good showing from the Utah Jazz, who a lot of people had them as underdogs. But Joe, how are you feeling about the series, and just what are your initial thoughts on it?
Oh, first of all, I need to put out an APB for Paul George, like always. I always like to say, how to get that little Paul George thing going there. Here's the thing, TV, when it comes to this series, and I know we can debate all day whether the Jazz are a phenomenal team, and how great the Clippers can be, whether they're falling in or off between last year and this year. But I think the biggest thing for me, and it's truly terrible for the Clippers. Not trying to get everyone to feel sorry for them, but man, take the whole team thing out of this. Take the
Yeah,
whole team aspect of this. They draw Luka Doncic, who
yeah,
is one of the best players in the NBA right now,
yeah,
and elite can be an elite scorer, man, and just gives you such a nightmare of a matchup. And you have the game plan for that 7 games, right?
yeah,
And now it doesn't get any easier, man, because Donovan Mitchell, man, is a very crafty player, man, very athletic, man, isn't scared to go toe to toe with the best in Kawhi, and has just been a driving force here. So that's my biggest thing, man. Man, it just doesn't get easier for the Clippers. Obviously, it's a playoff. We don't expect that, but taking the team thing out of this, man, they're just going up against overall amazing talent when it comes to just basketball, player just in general, man. And it's crazy
yeah.
for them.
Yeah, it's been a crazy two series for them. I mean, last year's Luka Doncic was scoring like 40 points on the daily, 37 points he averaged in the series, and it just wasn't a fun time for them.
Yeah,
I mean, their whole aspect of that series is that we want anyone to beat us but Luka Doncic, and that worked.
you
That
can't
worked. I
stop
mean,
them.
like Porzingis didn't play well. Tim Hardaway Jr. was good, not great, was very inconsistent. I mean, you will take that if you're the Dallas Mavericks. Just anyone on that team scoring but Luka.
Yeah,
But in this series, it's different, man. It just feels different because you try to get the ball out of Donovan Mitchell's hands. You see who's hitting the shots. You see Joe Ingles. You see Bojan Bogdanovic, Jordan Clarkson. Even Rudy Gobert had a 14 and 20 game yesterday. I mean, this is not the supporting cast of the Dallas Mavericks. This is a team that
legit.
not only can Donovan Mitchell score, these guys have been like consistent all year round. Like this is just a completely different matchup. And also the defensive end, obviously defensive player of the year, rookie Rudy Gobert, which we'll get into later. But man, this team is it's just a very very hard matchup, and it feels like the Clippers. If Kawhi and Paul George aren't averaging 30 a night, it just feels like they just don't have a chance in the series.
Exactly. I mean, I agree with you 100%. I mean, this Jazz team, more than anything, is pretty identical to how it's been the last few years. So they have built-in chemistry, something that the Clippers don't naturally have here. And how do you stop these guys, man? You tell yourself, okay, well, game plan is let's stop Luca, right? He's dropping 40
Yeah,
something a night. Donovan Mitchell isn't slowing down in this series though, and I don't see the thing with Luca. I think a huge thing was fatigue.
yeah,
I don't think we're going to see that in this series just because of what you just pointed out. I mean, they have different players. He has a better supporting cast. Ingles can shoot, and Ingles is coming off their bench at times too.
yeah.
So it's a big thing, man. It's scary for the Clippers.
Yeah, and this has been done without Mike Conley as well. I mean, Mike Conley hasn't even played a game in this series, and they're getting these wins. So, yeah, I mean, the only thing that's really stopping the Jazz at this point is their injuries. I mean, Donovan Mitchell last night kind of tweaked his ankle, same thing with Bojan Bogdanovic, and we don't know when Mike Conley's coming back. And I think that's really the only thing stopping them. But if you're the Clippers in these next few games, you're at home, you need to win both these games. What is the game plan?
I mean, you literally lock down Kawhi on Donovan Mitchell, man. That's why he's
Yeah,
there, man. You try your best, and it's harder because I think obviously Mitchell is more athletically faster than him. But
Yeah.
I mean that's where the entire series really kind of turned around for the Clippers here against the Mavs. They really focused on not just Luka, but putting their best player, their best defensive player, which is Kawhi, on Luka. And sure, maybe he didn't slow him down scoring wise, but he could tell by the time Game 7 was around, Luka was fatigued.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest thing here. Just trying to like make Donovan Mitchell work. I mean, he's still coming off that injured ankle. Maybe that's still bothering him. Just make him work for it. But it's going to be definitely a tough series. And the Clipper Stars, I mean, they haven't been as aggressive as they were in the Dallas series. They need to step it up. They really do. And I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, especially if you account for the fact that Mike Conley will be back soon. It's going to be a tough series. But the Jazz, man, they're proving a lot of people wrong. They're definitely proving a lot of people wrong.
They are killing him, man. But where's Paul George at, man? That's my question.
No, game one he was bad. Game one he was bad. Last game,
Where's Paul George at? I need him to show up, man.
Game two he was better. Game two he was better, but it just feels like both their stars haven't been playing great at all. Haven't been like at their best at all. I mean, Reggie Jackson was the leading scorer yesterday with 29 points, so that really can't be the case. Game three is happening on Saturday night, I believe. It's going to be a good one. It's definitely going to be something that fans are going to look at, and to see if the Jazz win one of these in LA, it's going to be definitely a tough road to come back if you're the Clippers. Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to the next series. Let's jump over to the East. Another game happened yesterday between the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks. From the last episode, I was talking about game one. Game 2 and 3 happened. In game 2, the Brooklyn Nets won bad. I mean, really, really bad. 125-86. That was an absolute massacre. The Bucks didn't come out to play. And the biggest lead for the Nets that night was 49 points. So you could tell how bad of a night that was for the Bucks. And in game 3, I don't know about you, man. I don't know if you saw the highlights, obviously, because you were on the plane, but
Yeah.
this game was ugly. 86-83. The Milwaukee Bucks beat the Brooklyn Nets. Giannis and Middleton combined for 68 points, which is 79% of the total points for the Bucks, highest in NBA history. And then for the Nets, only 3 guys scored over 15 points, and then the rest scored, I believe, 8 or less. And the Bucks were able to keep their season alive, get the 86-83 win. From what you saw, man, what are your thoughts on the series, and is it basically a wrap for that Brooklyn's going to win this?
Oh, it's over, man. It's over. And look, let's take this year out of it, and because I'll fess up after this, but let's take this year out of it. I've always, and since I've known you, I've always been hard and very critical, no pun intended, on Giannis.
Yeah,
You know, I'm telling you, like the limitations here are showing. I thought this year, shame on me here. This year, I thought that it was going to be a lot better. Than this was their year. I thought that defensively they were going to give the Nets issues because the Nets really don't play defense. Boy, was I wrong. And I mean, it goes back to what I've always said, man. This guy's not really a true number one. He's a superstar, he's a star, but he's gotten by more by his physical attributes and talents that he's not really developed a really solid jump shot. Free throws has been atrocious this during this
those
series.
10-second violations, man.
Yeah,
Those are
they're
rough.
terrible, man, and that's not what you need. And you know what? Giannis is a solid number 2, no doubt about that. A great player, but brother, like you need at least set him up with shooters if you're gonna roll with him as your number 1 guy. Chris Middleton's not gonna give you 27 plus points again the rest of the
Yeah.
series. I don't think so, at least, man. So I think the series is over. The Nets had a terrible day shooting.
That was
Harding
horrible.
wasn't playing, brother, and
Yeah.
it took all that to be able to squeak out of this, man. This series is over, man. And for people telling me, look, I was with a couple boys I met in Tennessee from that live in Milwaukee and all these
Yeah.
things. All respect and love to them. They're great guys here. They're really excited. But guys, I mean, this series is over. If you truly want to have a legitimate chance to win this thing, you gotta win game 4. I never believe when you're down 0-2 in a series and the announcer, says after a game 3 win for the opposite team, we have a series now. That's BS, brother. It's BS because of the
Yeah.
fact that you need to win 2 games. Because even if you win game 3 and you lose game 4, I mean, you're down 3-1. It's
Yeah.
not really a series.
Yeah, I
There you
know.
go.
Yeah, the Bucks need to win Game 4, absolutely 100%. But I think in terms of the last game, I mean, both teams can take out something good from this. I mean, the Nets, I mean, they had the worst offensive performance of the year by far for them, and they only lost by 3. But on the Bucks flip side of things, you could be like, okay, we only scored 86 points and we still pull out the victory. It could go both ways. But I do want to talk about Giannis as well, man, because one of the biggest things for me in the series I've been watching is because of his free throw issues, he's scared. He's scared to go into the paint now. He's scared of the contact. He doesn't want to go to the free throw line. He doesn't want to be called for that 10-second violations stuff. I mean, it's like hurting his psyche, and that's why he's taking so many jump shots. And every time I see him take a jump shot, the Nets are gonna be like, we'll take that every single day of the week.
Exactly.
It's and he like yesterday 1 for 8 on threes throughout this entire playoffs, 4 for 32 on threes. Like this guy's taking them because he doesn't want to go to the free throw line, and I think that's gonna be a massive issue for the Bucks here. They're at their best when Giannis is going to the paint constantly, making sure the defense collapses and their shooters get open. But if he isn't that confident, if he's scared of the free throw line, they're not going to get these wins. I mean, Chris Milton scored 35 today. I mean, I don't know if he's going to perform like that again. But
They don't even like him in Milwaukee, bro.
I know, but I mean, but the biggest thing here is like the other guys need to step up as well. I mean, PJ Tucker 0 points, unacceptable. Brooke Lopez was phenomenal on the defensive end yesterday, but 3 points on the offensive end, horrible.
Okay.
Drew Holiday needs to be better than 9 points. I mean, there has to be someone like alleviating the pressure off Giannis, and like you said, they need to win Game 4 because 3-1. I'm calling the series done. It's already hard to like think that if they're going to win the series at all still, but they really need to win Game 4, which is going to be Sunday night. It's going to be a tough game, but it's all about the Bucks trying to get the other guys going and making sure that Giannis is in the best possible places to be effective. And come on now, I mean, James Harden hasn't even played. Let's be honest here. James Harden still hasn't even he played 30 seconds in the series. He's going to be back soon. And when that happens, I don't know how you're going to stop all three at that point.
I mean, if they had Harden yesterday, they probably would have won, man.
Yeah.
That's where having a Harden would have given you that little bit of extra juice, just a little bit, man. Because obviously, I don't think highly of Harden, but just a little bit of juice to get you through there.
Yeah, they definitely like needed him in that game, just another creator. Because man, yesterday the Brooklyn Nets, like Joe Harris had like 5 or 6 shots in that fourth quarter that were wide open. He just kept missing. But
Yeah, I mean, it
happens. It happens. But yeah, I mean, both teams should be feeling good going to Game 4. If I'm the Nets, I mean, you're like, we're not scoring 83 points again. This is not going to happen. We should be good. And I think if they do win Game 4, which I would say that you think it's going to happen, I think it's going to happen. It should be done. I mean, it's hard to see that the Bucks were able to bounce back from this, and if Giannis can break out of that kind of mentality that he has to keep shooting, because man, you don't understand. I'm tweeting on Twitter. I'm like, every time he takes a shot, I do like a face palm in my hands. I'm like, please do not do this. You're letting the Nets off the hook. This is like, you're not giving them what you're giving them exactly what they want. So Giannis, change your mentality and please speed up your free throw process because, oh my gosh, it takes forever. I usually count every time. It's like 12 seconds long. Like, come on, man, you gotta.
It's as bad as Andre Roberson, man.
At least Andre Roberson takes in 6 seconds. Giannis like does this whole routine, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He still mostly misses it. It's tough, man. It's definitely tough. Let's move on to the next series we're going to be discussing. We're going to go back over to the West. The Phoenix Suns versus the Denver Nuggets. Game 1 happened this week. Phoenix winning 122-105. Pretty comfortable victory. The Phoenix fans were absolutely amazing in that game. And in Game 4, they absolutely demolished the Denver Nuggets once again, 123-98. Just a great all-around effort. Chris Paul has been playing great this series. He doesn't have to be the number one scorer, but he's setting everyone up nicely. And it literally is like 4 or 5 different guys on the Phoenix Suns that are just killing the Denver Nuggets. And they're moving the ball around. They're getting other guys open. Devin Booker doesn't have to score 30 points a game because he has a lot of help going on right now. What are your thoughts on the series, and do you think the Nuggets can bounce back?
I don't think the Nuggets can bounce back. Let's be honest here. I mean, let's take all the Murray slander away from all this that I usually like to give you. But this is where Jamal Murray comes in handy.
Yeah.
You know, not saying he's clutch, not saying he's about it, but he is a scorer. And you can clearly tell that Jokic being alone here is really has really caught up to this team. Chris Paul, man, Jesus, man. Anything he touches, he's got the Midas touch, man. Anywhere he goes, man, it just turns to gold there, man. Look at this Suns team, man. Trash, man, over the last few years, man. Yeah. And now, you know, they're about it now. They're playing about it. It's all because of Chris Paul. Clearly, they're the better team. They're the more well-rounded. Like if this was fighting, they're the more well-rounded fighter. And they're hitting on all cylinders right now, man. I'll give the Suns a gentleman sweep. I respect Jokic, but man, at this point, man, this is where really you're at the part of the playoffs where you can't just do it alone, man. You need reliable backup there to help you out, and he doesn't have it right now.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't have it right now. I mean, Jokic has, I mean, I wouldn't say has been locked down, but he's definitely been slowed down by DeAndre Ayton, who is definitely playing him a lot better than Yusuf Nurkic last series. I mean, he was just hooking Nurkic every single time up and down the court. Ayton is a better defender. He's definitely showing that here. And the thing about the Nuggets, I mean, not only did they lose Jamal Murray for the most part, I mean, they lost PJ Dozier. Well, Barton just came back the other night. Their guard rotation is tough. I mean, if you're relying on
It
people
is.
like Facundo Campazzo,
Don't know who that is.
Monte Morris, like it's tough. It's tough to like catch up, especially with the backcourt of Chris Paul and Devin Booker.
Yeah,
It's no competition. It really
it's
is,
terrible.
and it really isn't. And that's what's been showing throughout this entire series. And Devin Booker, although he like was the leading scorer in the first game, I mean, it was such a great all around effort on both these games. I mean, game one, it was four guys over 20 points for the Phoenix Suns. Game game two, not a single Sun was over 20 points, but they still dominated the Nuggets. And that's just a scary thing for the Nuggets, who are not the best defensive team. And although Jokic is the MVP this year, congratulations to him. We'll get into that a bit later. It's tough to do it alone, like you said. And they just can't, like, if they're not like going like early, the Suns team is going to make them pay both on the defensive end and on the offensive end. And I mean, the next game is tonight, 10 p.m. But if the Nuggets, yeah, I'll give them one win. But the Phoenix Suns just look like they're about it this year. Like you said, they're looking good, man. I mean, do you think, like, past the series, do you think they have a chance at the finals?
They have a legitimate shot at the finals. They do. But you know what? Chris Paul has never even doesn't know what that tastes like, feels like. So we'll see, man. Usually, unfortunately for him, that's the story of his career, man. Some crazy usually happens where he doesn't get to that glory. Hopefully this is the year that he deflects that, because couldn't have happened to a better person, man. Seriously,
Yeah, for
doing
sure.
great.
Yeah, I want to see the team in the finals. They have probably been one of the more fun teams to watch in the playoffs. And seeing Chris Paul there, seeing Devin Booker there, I think it would be a really, really good matchup versus most teams in the East. I think that would be like a really fun matchup. But yeah, the Suns taking care of business against Denver. I mean, the Nuggets need one of these wins here. And like we mentioned with the Bucks series, they need to win two of these games at home at this point for them. So it's going to be it might be a short series, but the Nuggets definitely need these wins.
Okay.
Let's move on to get to the final series of the second round. 76ers versus Hawks. Game 2 happened this week, and the 76ers won 118-102 to tie the series up. The only series so far in the second round that is actually tied up. Um, Joel Embiid, monster once again, 39 points. But the biggest thing here and what turned this game around was Shake Milton turning up at the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth, scoring like crazy, three after three. He was absolutely fantastic. Finished the game with 14 points. I mean, he was a massive part of this game. And for the first time, Trae Young actually struggled in the playoffs, and that really did hurt the Hawks. But in terms of the series, Joe, I mean, what do you think about this like series, and do you think the Hawks have a potential upset on their hands?
I don't think so. I think that this team is actually can be very limited in that sense, where they're going to go as far as Trey Young. Trey Young goes. They have good depth when it comes to their bench, and it's great. I mean, like last time they had Gallinari and they had Herder, give them at least 20 apiece. But here's the thing, though: this team's going to go as far as Trey Young does. He struggled. And if he struggles, it's going to be a very long day for the Hawks. Nothing but respect. But when you're talking about Philly, they rank in the top six on both offensive and defensive categories. They actually have the best field goal percentage in the playoffs right now, from what I have here.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to be very tough. Obviously, there's this another disadvantage is coaching. Coaching is a real big thing when you start going further into the playoffs and adjusting. Obviously, the Sixers have a huge edge when it comes to coaching against the Hawks. Very big thing. I have the 76ers moving on.
Yeah, and the biggest thing here, and I think something that the Hawks just can't stop right now, is Joel Embiid. Joel
Mhm.
Embiid has just been absolutely dominant in both these games. 40 points in game two, 39 in game one. It's just one of those things where, I mean, Clint Capella is a good defender, man. But when Joel Embiid is on it, I mean, it's just like you can't stop it. I mean, if he wasn't injured in the season, he possibly could have been MVP, and he's
Yeah.
showing it this series. I mean, on the offensive end, on the defensive end, he's like communicating on defense. And what's helping him a lot is that his perimeter guys are actually helping him out. And Tobias Harris, who is
Yeah.
having a bounce back from last year's playoffs where he was absolutely horrendous. Seth Curry's hitting shots. Shake Milton, like he turned that game around for sure in game two. The 76ers are just a better team, like plain and simple. They go into Atlanta, which is going to be a tough place to play because they definitely made it tough on the Knicks last series, but either way, whether the Hawks win or lose in this, it's been a successful season. It's something to definitely build off of, and then maybe they could see what their weaknesses is and what they can do like going forward. Because Trae Young, he's amazing, he's phenomenal. They just need to continue to build around him. Um, but yeah, one more thing before we move on to like the final segment of the show. But do you think like if any of these teams go on, and most likely Philly, but do you think that they have a chance against either the Nets or the Bucks?
I don't. I think the Philly can beat Milwaukee for sure.
Yeah,
But the Nets thing, man, again, I was arguing. You were right about this, man. Like, and me and you were going back and forth on this on Brooklyn, but the defense. But man, I'm gonna give you props, brother. I mean, the scoring thing that you called out. Obviously, I thought that they could score. Obviously, when you have
yeah,
such a great talent, but I thought that in the playoffs it would change. Right now I can't see this. I mean, Simmons can't shoot, man. Simmons
yeah.
doesn't have the firepower to be able to keep up with Embiid, to try to keep up with Kyrie Irving, Harden, and Kevin Durant.
Yeah, it's gonna definitely be a tough series like over there. But the 76ers finally got things going. Going to Atlanta tonight should be a good game. Let's see if the Hawks can take one and make the series interesting.
Yeah,
But I give them one more game. The most it's going to go is 6. But I think I agree with you. The 76ers should be able to take
handle
care
this
of
game.
business and get this series win.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the last topic of the show. We're going to be bringing something back that we have with other guests before, hot, cold, or just right. I'm going to be giving Joe some statements, and then he's going to be either hot, which means he completely agrees with it, cold, which means he disagrees with it, or just right, where he's neutral about it. Here's some things I'm going to talk about. I know he has some things like on his mind that I'm going to probably set him up for
All right.
that he'll talk about, but we'll get right into it. Let's start off with the two award winners. Let's start off with Defensive Player of the Year. Rudy Gobert winning it this year, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 3 times in the last 4 years. A lot of people, especially on social media, I've been kind of iffy on it. But here's the statement I'm going to give you, Joe. Simmons should have won Defensive Player of the Year. Are you hot, cold, or just right on that?
Who was that?
Ben Simmons, should he have won Defensive Player of the Year?
Cold on that, man. Cold on that. I mean, I think Rudy Gobert is a very deserving of this award, and I think that he makes more of an impact for his Jazz team right now than what Simmons is doing defensively.
Yeah, I mean, I am definitely cold on this as well. I'm going to say something right now because I was going to do it yesterday, but I was feeling like crap because I got my second dose of the vaccine. I was going to say this on TikTok, but I'm going to say it here right now. No matter what, interior defense is going to be more valuable than perimeter defense. There's a
Yep.
reason why big men always win this award, and it's hard for people like Kawhi, like Ben Simmons to win
Guards.
this award.
Yeah.
It's just because it's just the most effective. I mean, without Rudy Gobert on that Utah Jazz team, they're a playing team. I'm almost guaranteed of that. And without Ben Simmons, I mean, either way, I think that the 76ers can compete for a top 4 seed there in the East. It's just that Rudy Gobert just provides so much more on that end for the team. Impact is everything and comes with this award, and Rudy Gobert has done that constantly, and that's why he's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. I have no problem with this. People have been telling me watch the games, Ben Simmons can switch and all that. Sure, but you can move away from Ben Simmons. You completely have to change your game plan if Rudy Gobert's in that paint. You're not attacking the paint as often. You're shooting a lot more jump shots. He just provides a lot more impact on the defensive end for his team. So yeah, I'm completely fine. He was my pick for Defensive Player of the Year. I am definitely calling on that statement. MVP award, the Joker won it this year. First second round pick, like the lowest ever pick to win it, MVP. He won by a landslide. Derrick Rose got 1 vote, which is really, really weird. But Joe, are you hot, cold, or just right on Jokic winning MVP?
Well, nothing but respect for Jokic, but I'm cold on this, man. Chris Paul should have been the MVP.
Oh
Impact
wow.
and leadership really does make a difference, man. And I understand that without Jokic, this Denver team wouldn't even beat would be abysmal. But reality is that Chris Paul, this Suns team is nothing without Chris Paul. They had the same cast last year, and they couldn't make the playoffs. I don't care about the bubble; they didn't make the playoffs. You add Chris Paul there, they're contending for a championship now.
Oh
Leadership
yeah.
and impact, value in the most valuable player of the year award really does mean something, man. I'm happy
Yeah.
for Jokic. Nothing but respect, man. Worked hard from being, a second rounder, but cold on that one.
I am hot on this one. I think people like don't really understand not it's not calling out you, but like people like
Mhm.
at least throughout the year, like what has been the conversation throughout the year? it's always been Jokic versus this guy. Was it Jokic versus Chris Paul? Jokic versus
Yeah.
Curry? Jokic versus Thing? He has done this all year round. And if we're going by like the typical MVP voting standards with the record, with the stats and all that, just like playing as the best player, Jokic is the clear MVP to me. I've seen people make the argument for Chris Paul, which hopefully if you come back on the show in the future, we could debate that because I think that's a bit of an overrated thing that people have been doing with Chris Paul. But
Yeah,
hopefully we could do that and like we could talk about that in the future.
for sure.
But man, Jokic, I think doing this all year round, not missing a single game. I mean, it's always been whoever like is in the MVP race versus Jokic. So I think he's done a good job. Lowest draft pick ever. He deserves all the respect. Gonna
All
probably like
respect.
not make it past this next round, but he's been doing it good all year. And they haven't missed a step without Jamal Murray. I mean, they're definitely missing him now, but in terms of the way they're performing, they still played well.
Jamal.
Yeah. So yeah, Nikola Jokic, I'm hot on him winning MVP. Next statement, we have a couple more here. I know you want to talk about this on the show. The Miami Heat got eliminated in the first round 4-0. The defending Eastern Conference champions just did not show up in the playoffs this year. So here's my statement, and I have a feeling we're gonna go with this. Miami's run last year was a fluke. Are you hot, cold, or just right on that?
Come on, man. Tyler Hero, let me start off with that, man. Where are you at, bro? Where's this at? I called him out, man. I call that sorry excuse of a player, man. Talented, no doubt about that. But man, I've never seen such a sorry excuse, brother. Go back to
Uh,
college, brother. The NBA is not for you, man. You can play. That's fine. 9 points.
yeah,
9 points.
yeah.
Averaging 9 points. Three
Uh,
rebounds. 2 assists, brother. Where you at, Tyler Hero? This ain't the bubble, son.
yeah.
That fantasy, that's what I hate about the bubble. It was just a fantasy, man. It made
I,
guys like TJ Warren look like they're about something, man. Where's that face at? Where's that grin at with Tyler Hero, brother? That's all I'm gonna say. Of course, this was a fluke.
um,
Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, stud players. Never gonna discount that, brother. If Miami can get another superstar in there, definitely can contend. But where's Tyler Hero at? People were DMing me like this kid was about something, man. I've never seen such a sorry excuse, man, for a damn basketball player right now in the NBA right now.
uh,
Where was he at, man? Where's the hype? Where was this kid
oh,
grinning, man? He won't grinning, man. He's not grinning.
oh my
Leave it at
goodness,
that,
man!
man.
I knew you were gonna say this. I'm neutral on this. I think a fluke is something that happens for maybe a couple games or not. I don't discount anything in the bubble. I think that if you do this for like a whole playoff long, I'm neutral on this. I'm not cold. I'm not hot. I'm kind of neutral. But yeah, I went on a whole Tyler Hero rant after they got eliminated from the finals. He did not show up, and now the Heat are kind of regretting not trading him for James Harden or Kyle Lowry in the
Oh yeah,
season.
yeah.
Yeah,
You take the trade.
yes, you definitely should have taken that trade, but
Jesus,
you
come
know,
on, Spolstra.
if they can get something next year, maybe they could do something. But yeah, I'm neutral on it. I'm not hot cold. I'm not hot, but I'm neutral. I'll do one more before you have to go. The Lakers 4-2. They got eliminated from the Phoenix by the Phoenix Suns. LeBron looked a bit old in that series. Anthony Davis got injured. I don't know, man. There's still some questions with this team, but here's my final statement for you. Lakers next year. Are they still contenders? Are you hot, cold, or just right?
Very hot. Raise it
Very
up.
hot.
Very hot. Lakers are going to contend, man, next year. I think for a lot of LeBron haters out there, man, this was nice for them. And it's cute. That's fine.
Yeah.
But here's the thing LeBron James is still the best basketball player on the planet. I don't care. We can debate that another day. But here's the thing, folks. Like uh, this season wasn't designed for the Lakers. They're older. LeBron's getting older. Davis obviously has his concerns. But this team didn't get to properly have a proper offseason. They rushed
Yeah.
it back. Sure, they won because of the bubble. People are going to tell me, oh, but they won the double. That's fine, folks. Let's leave that right there. And trust me, I'm the biggest against the bubble thing, but okay, it happens. But this team didn't have the proper time to recover. They really sped up. The game of the NBA season was really a marathon right now, man.
Yeah.
And you don't have a sufficient enough break to be able to recover for that. Even let that thing sink in. Hey, we just won a championship. You're about to do the parade, and it's time to go play again. So I think fatigue really did. I think like these moves, like the Schroeder and the Harrell, were meant to have like an immediate impact to like keep them above water. And but I think that if anything, LeBron being bounced in the first round shouldn't define him. It will not define him, of
It will
course.
not.
But I mean, it's kind of a good thing. A little longer, a little heads up on the off season. He's got a bunch of other things going on. And I think that the Lakers are going to come back. LeBron's going to be more pissed than ever, and they're contenders for sure.
Yeah, I'm not hot on this. I'm neutral, not because I'm doubting LeBron James. I'm never gonna doubt the man, but the Anthony Davis injuries are starting to pile up now, and it's starting to
Yeah.
concern me, especially as a bigger guy, because he's gonna be the biggest factor into him, especially going forward into the future. The Lakers, if he's healthy for 90% of the season, they're contenders. They're 100% contenders. But can you trust that out of Anthony Davis? I'm not sure yet. It's going to be tough for them going to next season. I think for me, it's a lot to do with Anthony Davis. But man, I think if they're back, they have a 4-month break now. They should be contenders. They're going to bring in
Yeah.
someone. You already know they're going to bring in someone because it's freaking LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So they should be contenders next year. For me, depending a lot on Anthony Davis. So I'm definitely just right on this.
Make the call, Dame. Make the call, Dame. Make the
this
call.
this guy is wants Dame in there. If they pull it off, I'm gonna be hella
Make the
surprised.
call, Dame. Make the call.
Well,
Go win a championship, man.
let's
Too
see. Let's
royalty with
see.
that,
Next
man.
year, the Lakers are definitely gonna be some interesting. Definitely one of those interesting teams. But I think this is where we're gonna end it. Thank you guys for watching. Joe, I'm gonna give you the floor. What do you have going on, and what can they expect for you over the next few days, next few weeks? Just let them know. Promote your stuff.
Awesome, guys. So I have Connor Rogers coming on the show. Corey Hendricks' episode will drop today. He's got to fight for PFL. Connor Rogers, NFL scout, will be coming on the show next week. I have a couple fighters that are going to be making their pro mixed martial arts debut. I'll be having interviews. Go by the Instagram page tomorrow. I'm gonna have about 3-4 separate interviews with people from the Ultimate Fighter, scouts, fighting journalists that are gonna be coming on and giving me their UFC 263 picks. It's gonna be a great event, folks. Catch it tomorrow. It's gonna be fantastic. It's fun. Follow Critical Condition Sports on Instagram at Critical Condition Sports. The podcast is available on Apple Pod, Spotify, wherever else you get your podcast from.
Yeah, definitely go check him out. You know he's like a regular on the show. He's always awesome when he comes on. This guy always brings the hot takes. You should definitely go check him out. He has amazing content over on his end. I have all of his links in my link tree and in the description of this video. But I'm going to end things here. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Remember to show love on all the podcast channels. Like, share, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And follow TV on Basketball on all the social media platforms. I'll be back on Monday for another episode. And thank you guys for all the support you've been given. This is where we're going to end things. That's Joe. This is TV. Hope you all have a fantastic day. TV signing out. Joe signing out. Peace.